What up, meatheads? It's Travis, aka American Butcher. In this week's episode of the Meat Block Podcast, I had the pleasure of sitting down with Eric Mittenthal, the president of the Hot Dog and Sausage Council. You know, the hot dog top dog. We talk about a wide variety of prepared beef items, such as hot dogs, from roast beef, corned beef, pastrami, and much, much more. I'm glad to say I partnered with NAMI, aka the North American Meat Institute, on behalf of the Beef Checkoff, and we talk about their role in the meat industry as well. So please enjoy this episode of the Meat Block Podcast, and like and subscribe, and check out NAMI and the Beef Checkoff. All right, thank you.
Good cutting enhances the quality of good meat. In his way, the meat cutter is an artist. Poor cutting results in an inferior piece of meat, regardless of quality.
So, Eric, how do you pronounce your name?
Mittenthal.
Mittenthal.
So mitten, like what you put on your hand, fall.
Okay, awesome. And then tell me about yourself. How you got started in this career, where you're from.
Sure.
We'll just start off easy.
Yeah, sure. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. I got into this career in a very strange, winding road kind of way. I was a broadcast journalist at the beginning of my career, working in a variety of TV markets as a reporter in various places, and enjoyed it. It was a blast. Learned and had a lot of great experiences as part of that. But the broadcast journalism world is one where it doesn't pay particularly well, and isn't a particularly stable job. So I was looking for a little bit more stability and better paying opportunities. And so I looked in Washington, D.C. for health-related trade organizations, to have a health background also. Mm-hmm. And I landed a job at the International Food Information Council, which is a food safety, nutrition, communications focused organization in D.C., and got into the food industry, met a lot of folks, and that led to a job with the North American Meat Institute. And so I've been at the Meat Institute for almost 10 years now, serving in a variety of roles. I've been vice president of public affairs, focusing on communications. I have been vice president of sustainability, and as of last week, I am now chief strategy officer for the Meat Institute. So different roles, but all about meat and talking meat and its role in our diets.
Awesome. I want to circle back to the sustainability later, but first, just what is the North American Meat Institute for the listeners who may not know?
Yeah, we are the trade association for meat packers and processors. Our members produce 95% of the red meat in the U.S., beef, pork, lamb, and veal, and 70% of the turkey. And our members range from very large Tyson, Smithfield, Cargill, to Uncle Charlie's Sausage Company and everybody in between. So it really is the gamut of the industry. And we work on their behalf in Washington, D.C. We do a lot of industry education. We do communications on behalf of the industry. And so we play a real crucial role for the industry in telling the story of meat in the diet.
Okay, awesome. And then the Beef Checkoff, because I'm partnered with them on behalf of you guys. What is the Beef Checkoff's role?
The Beef Checkoff is funded by beef farmers and ranchers. For every head of cattle that they sell, they put a portion into a collective pot, some of which goes to states, some of which goes to a national program for the purpose of marketing and research for beef. And we are one of the contractors to the Beef Checkoff, specifically for prepared beef promotion. And so for us, that means products like beef deli meats, roast beef, corned beef, pastrami, salami, to beef sausages like hot dogs and other beef sausages, beef jerky, and products like that. And our role with them is to promote them and share the nutrition that they provide in our diets and the role that they play in our lives. So we're really proud to be partners with beef farmers and ranchers to do that, and I have been doing that for several years, and it's been a great partnership.
Yeah, I know a lot of our listeners are farmers and ranchers, and I have a good friend out here who is a member of the Beef Checkoff, and when he found out I was doing work with him, he was like, "Wow!" He was really excited. So that's great, and yeah, I encourage anyone who's listening who is a grower of beef to check them out and see what they could do for you. And then the, you have an interesting role when it comes to hot dogs. Do you want to tell me about that?
Sure, yeah. So I am president of the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, the Hot Dog Top Dog, which in addition to my overarching role. And the Hot Dog and Sausage Council has been around since 1994, and we are a sub-project of the North American Meat Institute, whose our members are the hot dog and sausage manufacturers. And it was back in '94, there was a lot of questions about hot dogs nutrition and how they're produced, and we felt like there was a need for a more focused communications effort related to hot dogs and sausages. And so we've been doing that since '94. I took over as president back in 2015, and I almost look at it like the checkoff for hot dogs. It's not. We do partner with the Beef Checkoff for some of our hot dog and sausage council work. We're also funded by our own members, the hot dog and sausage manufacturers. But our role is a lot of promotion of hot dogs. We want to share the positive story of hot dogs. People love hot dogs so much, and sausages, and they're looking for those great fun hot dog stories out there. And so we just love sharing those. We love being a part of those, and celebrating hot dogs as the great all-American foods that they are.
Yeah, I think hot dogs screams just classic Americana to me, especially in the summertime. What is there's so much around like the history of the hot dog. If it started in Coney Island, or if it started in when people started putting coarse meat in casings 4,000 years ago. What is your history of the hot dog?
Yeah, I mean, the history of the hot dog dates way back before Coney Island, for sure. Germany actually celebrated the 500th anniversary of hot dogs in Frankfurt back in 1987. So I guess you could say it's been about 35 years since hot dogs were around in Germany. As you mentioned, the history of the sausage goes back even further. Sausages were mentioned in Homer's Odyssey, which was BC times. And so, hot dogs and sausages have a very long history. In times when refrigeration was not available, they were a way to get the most out of the animal and to preserve the meats so that they can be enjoyed in different ways. And so they came to America through German and European immigrants. Austria also has a hot dog history, Vienna, the Wiener. And so as immigrants came to America, they brought the hot dogs and sausages with them. And eventually you had in Coney Island, Feltman's start selling hot dogs there, and then Nathan's, and it spread around the country. And the great thing about hot dogs is that depending on where you are in the country, you really can find a lot of different regional varieties. And so while the New York hot dog is the classic one that most people think about, depending on where you are, you really can get a very different experience with hot dogs. And so it's fun to be able to explore those different varieties and the different ways that folks have enjoyed hot dogs within their local communities. And it even boils down to the manufacturers. I think with hot dogs, it's a fairly rare industry where there's still a lot of really local producers, where you can only get certain hot dogs in particular regions of the country. On the beef side, I think Vienna beef is a great example. Vienna beef is a classic Chicago brand, and you can get it in other places, but really that is the hot dog in Chicago. And you find You find that in different pockets of the country where you have a local brand that makes its own hot dogs, is the hot dog of the region, and so it's just fun to be able to explore that too, the different regional hot dogs and the actual hot dogs of the region that you can enjoy.
Yeah, I know that, like, there's Coney Island and Chicago dogs, and then there's Montreal dogs, and Seattle has a hot dog that, oddly enough, has cream cheese on it. Um, it uh, and a lot of people have opinions on what should go in a hot dog. Is it okay for just plain ketchup to go in a hot dog?
Well, that's a question that we wrestle with all the time. We say that if you're over the age of 18, you should not use ketchup on a hot dog. In some places, Chicago being the prime example, if you were to put ketchup on a hot dog at any time, they would kick you out of the city. It's not appropriate at any life stage. We're a little bit more moderate. We say ketchup on a hot dog over the age of 18 is not the best choice. But it's one of those things where it's all in good fun. We just highlight the best ways to eat a hot dog, and ketchup's not the best way, but for folks who choose ketchup, it's okay.
Okay. Well, maybe what if it's one of those fancy ketchups that comes in like the smaller glass jar that's like an artisan ketchup?
That's probably not even that. I think the challenge is the sweetness. The sweetness of the ketchup just is not the ideal match for the hot dog. You want the tang of the mustard and some of the other ingredients, and so the sweetness just is not the ideal match.
Yeah, my dad is from Cincinnati, and we'd have like 4-way chili dogs when I was growing up. That was the staple of what a hot dog was in our household.
Yeah, I love the Cincy Coney. The hot dog with chili, piled high with cheese, is a great choice. Those are delicious.
Yeah. And then the 400 year or 535 years of the celebration of the hot dog. But what was the hot dogs like? Did the hot dogs back then look like now? Because I know we have machines that do emulsification, or was it more of a ground product that, when did it change to the modern hot dog that we see today, kind of?
Yeah, the hot dogs then, I think, were probably a little different, just in the sense that they would be all natural casing. I think the concept of a skinless hot dog, which is what the majority of our hot dogs are today, was an American invention, and we back then they would have all been natural casing and have that snap, and you can still get those today. I'm not sure how the grinds has changed over time. I know hot dogs are generally an emulsification, and I don't know how long that history goes back, but I would think quite a ways as far as that style is concerned.
Yeah, my favorite hot dog ever is a all beef hot dog in a sheep's casing, and then it just gives you that just perfect snap. I used to work at a place, and we'd make so many hot dogs a week. One of our snap was just as important as the flavor.
The snap is key. Yeah, you got to get that good snap, and it's something that a lot of folks still enjoy. They're less common on the market these days, but you can get them, and they're a fun choice to be able to enjoy.
Yeah, and then there's like a wide variety of hot dogs too, which I love. You have your, your what a lot of people that involves, chicken. Then you have pork. Then you have all beef and kosher dogs and organic dogs. What would your favorite in that line be? And I know I'm asking you to pick like between your children here. So.
Yeah, they're all wonderful. I do love an all beef hot dog. I think it's something that just the flavor profile of the beef gives a very rich flavor, and so I think that the all beef hot dogs are really great. And so really, depending on where you are in the country too, the hot dogs may be a little bit of a different blend. Particularly up in the Northeast in New York, you're most likely to find all beef hot dogs. As I mentioned, Chicago earlier. In the South, are more likely to be pork blends, and or other places around the country, you may get a mix. But in Washington, D.C. here, actually, where I am now, we have the half smoke, which is pork and beef blend with a little extra kick to it. And so that's a unique hot dog. It's probably technically more of a sausage, but it's a really great flavor profile where you can get beef and pork together. And, they're very delicious.
Nice. And then what's like the? 'Cause I know there's like our listeners may not know this. This is why I want to say is like what is the percentage of like lean to fat or ice ratio that makes up a hot dog? What are, because people have this fear of what goes into the hot dog. To me, a hot dog is a wholesome product that's inspected, that is ultimately to be is safe and to be enjoyed. So is there any I guess what's the ratio and what's the things that we want to clear up any just schoolyard rumors about the hot dog?
Yeah, the schoolyard rumors are pervasive about the hot dog, and it's really quite simple. USDA has U.S. Department of Agriculture inspects every single hot dog that makes its way to store shelves and restaurants, and will not let them out of a plant if they're not deemed wholesome. And so the process is really quite simple compared to the notions that are out there. And when you're talking about beef hot dogs, as the example, it's pieces of beef that are cut away from your steaks and roasts, very similar to the meat that goes into ground beef. And the difference between the hot dog and ground beef is that meat is ground really finely, whereas ground beef, what you see in the store is a simpler grind. The grind on a hot dog is very fine, and it is mixed with ice as part of the process of emulsifying it, so that it can be stuffed into a casing. And USDA regulations say that it can't be more than 30% fat. And so similar to ground beef again, where on your store shelves you can find ground beef that has different fat percentages, where it's 70% lean, 30% fat, all the way down to 95% lean, 5% fat. And you can choose the lean and fat contents in ground beef that make the most sense for you and your nutrition desires. It's similar with hot dogs. You can find hot dogs that are very lean. Find hot dogs that have a higher fat percentage on store shelves, and it's really up to the individual about what is the ideal ratio in there. I think for flavor purposes, a little bit of fat in there is very helpful. You don't want it to dry out too much when you're cooking, and so it's you can get the fat percentages that make the most sense. And other than that, it's mixed with spices, stuffed into a casing and cooked. And so the notion that it includes parts of the animal that are less desirable is just not true.
And then the cooking process. Do you prefer like a salty or like a boiled dog, poached dog, or like the classic just grill with the grill marks and everything?
I'm a grill guy for sure. Yeah,
okay.
I love it on the grill, and that would definitely be my preferred choice.
Nice. And then, what are some other prepared beefs out there that are ready to eat beef products that people may not know about? Because we have roast beef, we have pastrami, but there's a bigger gambit of what's out there, especially right now with it being so hot. What are some cold cut ideas?
Yeah, I mean, roast beef and pastrami, corned beef are the big three to an extent. You can get there are a lot of other beef options, beef salamis. You can get a lot of different beef salamis. You can find beef bolognese and things like that as well. Bologna is really interesting. It's a lot like a hot dog, but there's a lot of different bologna styles that are out there. And so You can try different bolognas and get different flavor profiles and different textures and things like that. And particularly regionally, there's a lot of different bolognas as well. And so we've seen some chefs do really interesting things with bologna in recent years. Other places around the country, you can find fried bologna sandwiches and things like that, and those are delicious. And you can put bologna on a grill, and so I think bologna is one of those that's a great versatile choice for folks looking for something a little bit different. And then you have beef bresaola, which is more of a cured cut. I've had a beef prosciutto recently, which I was not familiar with, but it was very delicious. And so you can really be creative in the way that you're preparing beef products, and beef is so versatile that it offers those different cuts that you can make into delicious dishes.
Yeah, and my advice too, if you're having a bologna sandwich and you just want to elevate it, do fried bologna, and if you want to impress people, just instead of mayonnaise, make a simple aioli, and then people will be like, "Wow!" They'll think it's this artisan sandwich that you just whipped up yourself,
Yeah, we did a series of recipes a few years ago with beef bologna that highlighted bologna in ways that people may not have thought of it. We put bologna as part of a kebab, and had some other fun recipes in there. We made bologna snowflakes even, which was a lot of fun, where you fold your bologna up, bite off a couple of little parts and open it up, and you got a snowflake like you used to do with paper back in the day, where you cut with scissors. So there's just a lot of fun and interesting ways that you can enjoy bologna. I think a lot of folks just think you slap it on a piece of white bread, a cold piece of bologna, and put some mustard on there. But it is very versatile, and so I would encourage folks to check out our bologna recipes at meatpoultrynutrition.org and have some fun with bologna.
Yeah, and I think especially right now with this hot weather, that I'm located in Seattle area, and we had like over 100 degrees a couple weeks ago, and I just found myself pretty much eating cold cuts in front of my refrigerator, my bathing suit to stay cool. And I found that if I took a piece of roast beef, wrapped it in a pickle, and then put a little bit of mustard and horseradish in it, like a roast beef wrap, it really hit the spot on that hot summer day.
Yeah, that sounds delicious. That's that shows the versatility. It's really not just for sandwiches. There's a lot of things you can do with roast beef and different beef deli meats.
And then what's your ideal? Are you a roast beef guy? Are you like say you're having a sandwich, or you're at a delicatessen? What kind of sandwich are you going for?
I love a really good pastrami. I would say if I'm at a really great delicatessen, I would probably go for the pastrami. And pastrami, you really don't have to get fancy with it. I think pastrami on some rye bread with some mustard, it's really all you need. It's a great sandwich. It's great flavor. I love a Reuben as well, with corned beef or pastrami. And so I think those are both great choices. In my day-to-day life, I do eat a lot of roast beef sandwiches. Roast beef is a great at-home flavor for me that is really easy to make, and so I do eat a lot of roast beef at home.
And then what's the muscle that you prefer for pastrami? Is it the navel, the brisket? I know like people make it out of different cuts. So
yeah, most likely the brisket is where I would go. But yeah, you can do it a variety of ways, and so yeah, that's you can get different choices depending on your interests.
And then you said roast beef, and now my favorite roast beef sandwich is a French dip. Are you a dip guy, or are you just dry?
I'm not a dip guy. No, I mean I like it. It's a very good sandwich. When I make it, roast beef with maybe some mayo or horseradish, I think is great. Again, it's one of those things you can keep fairly simple, add a little bit of extra flavor to, and I think the dip does that too. But I don't know, the sogginess of the dip doesn't work as well for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I find myself then like bits of the sandwich get in the au jus, and then maybe more of the bread, and then I don't want to look like a weirdo and drink the au jus at the end like you would like the milk in the bowl of cereal. But maybe I do, maybe I don't.
I can tell you that the Italian beef sandwiches that you can get places like Chicago, I'm a dipper there for sure.
Okay.
You stack those with the giardiniera and get the full dip, and that's where I love it. I think those are great, and I wish we had those in more places around the country. Those are kind of a unique to Chicago thing. You don't find as much elsewhere, but those are really delicious. And if you haven't had an Italian beef sandwich, I highly recommend.
Okay. And then I'll just say that we're going to avoid the Pat and Gino's debate because there's some hard lines drawn in the sand about the Philly cheesesteak. So we'll just.
I love a cheesesteak. I think Pat and Gino's are great history, but yeah, that's a tough call.
Yeah. I've been to both, and I have known just through experience when I meet someone from Philly to just be like, I actually haven't been to either. And that's the safer bet.
Yeah.
And then you were saying that corned beef is in a Reuben. So I didn't know that. What is, because I think people have this view of corned beef and what it is, that it's more of something that you eat on St. Patrick's Day, but it is versatile, that you can put it in a Reuben, that you could eat it in different ways. And then also just what is the process of corned beef? What's the cut you use,
Yeah, so corned beef is one of those things that's got a very strong tie to the Irish, but it's not an Irish dish. It's actually an American dish that was started in New York, and so it's got that the corns are referring to the large salt. The large salt pieces that are used in preparing it, and so yeah, you can get corned beef or pastrami Reubens. I think either way, but corned beef I think is most popular on the Reuben. And again, corned beef is one of those things that can be very versatile, where you don't just have it on a sandwich; you can have it as a dish as well. And again, similar to the pastrami, I think the cut of meat there are different varieties available on the cuts, and it's kind of a personal choice thing that folks love to explore.
Yeah, I know that around St. Patrick's Day, you see those pre-brined briskets that people could do at home in almost every store out here. And yeah, I just didn't know the versatility. I just always associated it with St. Patrick's Day, and so that's awesome. We were touching base. You mentioned the meat industry shifting to a more sustainable model. What does that look like, and how has the supply chain with COVID made you guys realize to focus on, I guess?
Yeah, we've been working on continuous improvement and what that looks like for the industry for a couple of years, dating back before COVID. And COVID kind of added additional pressure for really focusing on how we improve as an industry. And so for us, sustainability, a lot of folks associate sustainability with just environmental impact. It's a piece of it, but it's much more than that. It's about how we're treating our animals, how we're feeding healthy people, how we are treating our workers and supplying safe, well-paying jobs in our communities. And so we have outlined in partnership with many groups throughout our supply chain, what we call the Protein Pact. I would encourage folks to check that out at www.theproteinpact, that's PACT.org. And we are setting baselines for improvement, commitment to transparency, and then measuring our progress towards how our industry is contributing to healthy people, healthy animals, and a healthy planet. And so that means finding ways to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, committing to industry-wide best practices that ensure worker safety throughout the industry. We're already really strong in that area. We have an excellent safety record, but it's something we can always improve on, making sure that we're driving food security and providing products to folks in need, and making sure people aren't going hungry. And so it's a really multifaceted approach that has been in the works and is nearing completion. And so we're really proud of the things that our members are going to be committing to and driving towards through the rest of this decade. And really proud to be partnering with the much wider industry, from producers to the retailers and restaurants where folks buy their products.
Yeah, and I think that's important because, like, I meet a lot of people who want to be butchers or want to be in the industry, and we're at this place in America where people are talking about this labor shortage, and sustainability is so important because it is about, like, you want to avoid people, like, if there is you want to avoid people being burnt out. And I think that's very important when you have, people working in a food processing facility or farmers and stuff. They don't want them to feel like they're playing catch up all the time. And that's a huge part of sustainability, is because if you're working at like for a smaller mom and pop, and they can't, and they rely on you to do so much, is that a sustainable model?
Yep. And I think we have to evaluate, how our facilities are running and how we're working as an industry, to make sure we're supporting our workers, supporting our communities. I think we're very strong in that area as far as really supporting strong communities around the country and livelihoods, from beef farmers and ranchers to the packers and processors who produce the meat. And there's always opportunities for improvements there, and making sure that we're doing the best by our workers. And so we're very focused on that, and that is a key priority.
Yeah, and I also just want to say that anyone who enjoys meat out there, that they're, it starts with the growers. It starts with the people who are passionate about animals and animal welfare, and who are doing that first step. So I just don't want them also to be just lost. So just like the farmers out there, thank you so much. Yeah.
They are the original stewards of our land, and so they have a very key role to play, and they feed people around the country, and yeah, we're very proud of that.
Yeah. And then you have so many titles, and I want to touch on, like, what is your average day, without, like, being like not brushing your teeth and stuff, but what does your average day look like?
Yeah, it's it can vary quite a bit from day to day. I've been very focused on our protein packed work for the last couple of years in particular. So there's a variety of elements that go into that tend to dominate my day. We have been working with our membership to outline what does continuous improvement look like, and so working very closely with them to develop that, as well as our internal teams, to outline it and build the components that go into that. We are working on a lot of communications as part of that as well. and so working with communications partners to develop what do communications look like. We are working on a data collection system for all this as well, and so determining what does that look like, and then adding on the work with the Hot Dog and Sausage Council and our beef promotion work with the Checkoff, and working through how do we best promote great prepared beef products, and who are the audiences that we need to reach, and what are the who are the folks like yourself that we want to talk to that can help us share the message. And so it takes up a lot of time every day. Every day is different proportions of that, but that's generally what my days are focused on.
Awesome. And then we didn't touch on this, but our beef, when it comes to beef product or beef jerky, are you a beef jerky strip guy, or are you a snack stick guy?
You know, I used to be a snack stick guy. I think I mean it goes back to the old school Slim Jims that you used to get, and you know those are still available. But the beef jerky market has expanded greatly over the last few decades, and so I definitely have transitioned to more of a strip guy. You get a lot of really great options, and the flavor profiles that you can get, and so many of the different beef jerky choices are really great. And so exploring those different flavors, there are so many brands out there, and there are so many different flavor ideas that they develop, that it's really fun to explore those. And so I tend to go more strips these days.
Yeah, I still kick down a door and snap a Slim Jim and say, "Oh yeah." So, right.
You got to be like the Macho Man.
Yeah, and then I know exactly what you're saying with like the strips, because when I was growing up, it was like it was like tough. You had to work it, and then now it's like they're making the thicker strips that are like softer and more like savory. I love them. I love that.
Yeah, they've gone a long way in making them more tender. And I think that was one of the challenges, is that you did really have to work at some of the ones that were a little older. And so I like it more tender. I think it's I don't want to have to work too much on it, and so a good tender strip that has a fun flavor profile as part of it is something that I really enjoy.
Yeah, and then I just want to end on or is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap it up?
We have a ton of resources that I would encourage folks to check out, particularly as it relates to our prepared beef work. If you go to bebeefprepared.com, we have developed a series of resources there on different prepared beef products, their role in the diet, nutrition, just what they are and how they're made. And so I would strongly encourage folks to go to bebeefprepared.com and check that out. And as I mentioned on the sustainability work, the proteinpact.org has all of that available, and is a really great resource for folks wanting to know about how the industry is working to be more sustainable.
Awesome. And I'll have both those links in the show notes, so people could just check those out and click on those directly.
Excellent.
And so, Eric, I just want to say thanks so much for chatting with me on this Wednesday morning. And it sounds like you got a busy day, like every day. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, too. I really enjoyed it, and love to talk beef anytime.
All right. Awesome. Thanks again to Eric Mittenthal, because that was a great, informative interview. And I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope you guys learned as much as I did, because there was so much information there. And if you want to check out any of those websites, once again, that's bebeefprepared.com. And then the second one he mentioned was the proteinpact.org. That's PACT pack, the proteinpact.org. And I want to say thanks so much to the North American Meat Institute on behalf of the Beef Checkoff. And because without them, I wouldn't have been able to do this episode. and the North American Meat Institute, also NAMI. And if you don't know about them, check them out as well, because that's the NAP guide. Those are the people who make what we refer to in the industry. So thanks, everyone, and see you next time. Until next time, keep your knife sharp and live in the margin.